So you've said that you've had experience being an engineer and also an architect. So how has that shaped your approach to managing AEC related projects?
Yeah, so as I stated, I did architectural engineering, and between that kind of degree where you're kind of foot on both sides of the pond in the architecture and engineering field, and then, having this incredibly unique opportunity here at PV, very blessed to kind of touch all those different facets. I actually was able to sit for my PE and, pass that, and then also my ARE and get my.
When we think about AEC projects, we often think about the grand designs, the impressive structures, and also the innovative solutions that bring those things to life. But behind the scenes, one essential element makes it all possible, and that's project management. Now, for engineers and architects, effective project management is even more critical, enabling seamless collaboration, overcoming complex challenges, and achieving exceptional results. So we want you all to join us in today's episode as we welcome Jameson Morse. Now, Jameson is a principal and also a director of buildings and structures at PVE, and he's going to be talking to us today about the essential elements that drive successful AEC projects and the unique project management perspective of engineers and architects. From fostering collaboration and leveraging cutting-edge technology to navigating risks and ensuring effective communication, we're going to uncover strategies to elevate your approach to project success. I'm your host, Matt Douglas, and this is the AEC Project Management Podcast. Let's jump right in. All right, everybody, it's now time for our PM Conversation of the Week with Jameson Morse. So, Jameson, we want to welcome you to the Engineering Project Management Podcast. How are you doing today?
Great. Yeah, thank you. Happy to be here.
Good. Well, we're glad to have you on here and glad to talk about all of your expertise and all of the things that you bring to the field of engineering specifically. So let's just go ahead and get started. And can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you on your journey to become the principal and the director of buildings and structures at PVE?
Sure. Well, I actually started here at PVE in 2006 as an intern when we were only 5 people. So we're a small civil engineering shop at that point. I was actually doing architectural engineering at school, so I was more interested in, buildings, architecture, structural engineering. But for most of the time in those summers, I went out on the survey crew. And it was kind of eye-opening to me because you realized, when you're in school, you kind of have the stars in your eyes about all of these big buildings and all of these amazing projects you're going to be working on. But the summers really taught me all the groundwork that had to be laid in order for those large projects to happen, and all of the different services that kind of had to collaborate together in order to, pull off a successful project. So since then, I did end up being a full-time employee at PVE upon graduation, and the firm has grown to just under 200 people now with architecture, structural engineering, civil engineering. We still have the surveying. We have an environmental group. We do interior design. We're working on a whole bunch of different projects, and I was able to kind of grow within that area that I was really interested in the architecture and structural engineering, but kind of with the foundation and background of all of these different facets that, go into not only a project, but how our firm kind of grew organically as a whole. So it really inspired me to, kind of share that wealth, because it was a very unique opportunity to kind of have a little bit of a hand in it as we were growing, and be kind of, as you're growing, you just kind of work in whatever group needs your help at that point. So it was very interesting to kind of have that unique experience where I touched a lot of different aspects of a project.
That's awesome. And tell me again, how many years were you at PVE?
So, 2006. So yeah, coming up on 19 now, I guess. I graduated in 2009. So I guess it's been about 15 full-time years, but some fun internship summers prior. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that there's something really special about people in general that really go through the motions of being with the company and growing with them. Um, I've seen so many different stories of people that are starting off from like the intern or the engineer one level. And as they matriculate through, there's just so much knowledge that you grow and gain over time that really helps you to understand all of the different facets of the business. You're getting the business development side, you're getting how to manage clients, how to do different projects. I think it's a really special thing and really helps you to really grow and understand the full culture of what your company is actually trying to develop. And it really definitely does position you to be, you know, for example, in your position, now you're a principal and director of buildings and structures. I think that really helps to groom you to get to that level.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very helpful because there's not much that, I manage or oversee, but I don't have some level of intimate understanding of. And I think that's really, really been helpful to me to, kind of be down in the trenches at some point so that when we're making these decisions, I have a pretty firm understanding of what those decisions actually mean.
Yeah, think about it in terms of like investments. I'm very big into stocks, and I just think that, doubling down on a particular stock that you are very, very strong on, you end up getting more reward from it over time. And metaphorically speaking, I think that kind of ties into this and your matriculation a lot because you have doubled down and invested so much time into PVE and what you've been doing that it's really starting to pay off a lot. So now I kind of want to get into, like your dual expertise. So you've said that you've had experience being an engineer and also an architect. So how has that shaped your approach to managing AEC related projects?
Yeah. So as I stated, I did architectural engineering, and between that kind of degree where you're kind of foot on both sides of the pond in the architecture and engineering field, and then, having this incredibly unique opportunity here at PV, very blessed to kind of touch all those different facets. I actually was able to sit for my PE and, pass that. And then also the ARE and get my registered architect's license as well. And what that really helps in shaping the approach is you kind of understand not only how the different professions kind of attack this project and what their different roles and responsibilities are and their overlap, but I've also kind of seen the different education and training that goes into this and what the different focuses are for, say the different credentials and, the different educational programs. And working within that, you can kind of leverage that knowledge to really get a high functioning team to perform, where you're teaching everybody how best to cross collaborate based upon their strengths and kind of how their approach is to the project. So it's been a really unique opportunity because we have, people from various backgrounds and various trainings coming into a project, but kind of knowing what makes them tick in order to kind of leverage and harness their highest and best use to work harmoniously on a project has really been a key and crucial component to our success.
I agree. I think that's very important to understand people. I've heard this a lot of times, especially doing these interviews here with certain guests such as yourself, just understanding your teammates on a more cognitive level,
Yes.
how they think, what makes them tick, what they like, what they don't like, how they learn best, I think is extremely important. It helps you with identifying their strengths and their weaknesses so that, eventually you don't have them working on a project that just doesn't really click to them. And now you're spending more time, you're expending more budget in order for you to get a certain task done. Whereas you can just move them on to a different part of your project. Let's say that there's a person that may not be so into design work. Maybe you actually transfer them over to the survey crews, the field crews. I think that's extremely important for us to learn and understand our teammates a lot more to better use their skill sets, in order for us to succeed in our projects. Because at the end of the day, we want to be able to complete our projects on time and under budget, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it not only helps for successful project, but it helps for successful growth of a firm because putting
Right.
people in positions to succeed towards the goals and interests that they have, if there's an opportunity there, that gives them growth opportunities. That gives paths.
Right.
And the more paths that we can have passionate champions kind of follow along, that that just benefits everybody involved. And us as leadership, it really helps to grow the firm and just follow. All we're doing really is giving them the ability and empowerment to run and giving them the resources to do so. So it's been very rewarding to watch the growth over the years.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, so let's get into a little bit of conversation about BIM modeling. So I want to just know how you ensure that BIM modeling and other technological advancements that you guys are integrating into your workflow, how do those align with project management goals in your division, your building and structures division?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, BIM obviously nowadays is such an important tool for anybody in the industry, and I think you know kind of a baseline understanding of Revit, that's the most common BIM tool that we all use, is very important. So, kind of coming in now, we have a baseline assessment that we use to kind of understand exactly where everyone is on the spectrum of their Revit skills, so that we can place them in the right teams and we can set them up for success, or we can kind of use some training tools to bring them up to the level that we want them to be. Everyone kind of coming in has Revit on their resume, right? But it's not always equal on what that experience or that capability might be. So one is to really understand kind of what level we have, and that's kind of a tool that we've implemented at our firm so that we really have an understanding of what our people know and what we can help them know and on their path to success. The second thing there is the tools that we use and some of the plugins and items that we want to assess is how can this help not just the individual, but how can this help the team? And what I say there is, our project managers and some of our principal architects and engineers, they've come up with some proven things for success, and a lot of the times doing that, on the way to doing that, I should say, they found a lot of pitfalls that now they want to avoid. So everyone talks about standards and different, typical details and things that you can have. But what the important thing is getting everyone to kind of be utilizing the same tools in the same manner so that they can be putting out a complete and kind of consistent product that has baked in some of those successes that the principals and senior leaders have experienced over the years and avoid some of those common pitfalls. So when we assess tools, it's how can this help us kind of bake in and put people on rails to success, and can it help eliminate some of the pitfalls, but not just on an individual level, on a team level, so that the product we're putting out, everyone is kind of marching to the beat of the same drum, putting out a consistent product. And when they're asking questions, it's kind of a question of the whole and the organization of how we do it, not just here's how we're doing it on this one project, on this one area that this one project manager likes to do. It's how can we get these tools to have more of a holistic design methodology so that our products and people can really be leveraged to have the best product available.
Awesome. So, what strategies do you use to navigate the complexities of regulatory compliance? Now, when we're talking about that, we're talking specifically about New York City's local laws 11 and 37 in large scale project management.
Yeah, this is compliance work and regulatory is always a tough one. It's an ever changing model as new laws and regulations are passed or updated. And this is just as much about informing our clients about what these requirements are as it is about our team. So one of the strategies that we've really implemented is, education, education, education. We not only attend as many webinars and lunch and learns as we can, but we hold them. We try to get out, to different groups that our clients are part of for, whether it be landlords in New York City. Some of them was like the New York Apartment Association, NYAA, formerly CHIP and RSA. And we try to get out there and give a free educational seminar of what these things are. That in turn also helps our internal team, get all of that stuff together so it's organized and can be presented. Just getting that information out so everyone's on the same page is really important. And, calendars and reminders of when these various things are due. As it comes to performing the work, we take a page out of the Checklist Manifesto. That's a book by Atul Gawande. It's really just,
Okay.
Compliance work follows pretty specific boxes to check. And we try to make it as easy as possible to ensure that we're meeting all the goals and requirements. So we've created automated tools and reporting technologies that kind of put our teams on rails, keeps the quality high, but it minimizes misses by kind of having a completion criteria that you must satisfy these conditions before you can leave the site. Additionally, we have someone back at the office that's kind of coordinating, that's an expert in all of these things, that they're the go-to. So while people are doing inspections out in the field, they're getting information in real time and reporting back to those teams, and everybody's learning from them, and it kind of amplifies the expertise across a wide breadth of our personnel that are satisfying all of these regulatory compliance requirements.
That's awesome. Yeah, I want to get into another conversation here about collaboration. So I want to talk about, with you being an engineer and also an architect, and also having both of those different fields within your organization, how do you collaborate between both the engineering teams and also the architecture teams? That way you can ensure that there's structural integrity and also that you're, not shying away from, innovative architectural design. Like, how do you make sure that your project designs are both innovative and also practical at the same time?
Yeah, that's always the balance that we strive for, and it's harder to achieve than it is to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of goes back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier with the different teams and leveraging their highest and best use coming from different areas. And we try to really foster an understanding of what kind of the important areas of focus is on for the various team members on a project. Architects, they want to do something innovative. They want to do something cool. We obviously got to be cost conscious and make it efficient, but you don't want to do that at the cost of innovation and something truly that you're proud of. But if they're going to that with an understanding of the mechanical engineer and the structural engineer and kind of what's important to them, they can design something that's an amazing idea and extremely innovative, but as long as they're keeping into account what the engineers are kind of focusing on, it's not going to conflict with each other. So it really comes down to having a robust understanding kind of all different areas and what's important. So while you're doing something, it's not at the cost of something else. You want to be putting forth a feasible design. And while it can be innovative, you don't want to be doing it at the cost of being able to actually make it happen on a lot of the other engineering sides. So understanding what's important to them is key.
Yeah, I get that. So now I want to get into another conversation here about something that's more like a little bit closely related to what I'm interested in. And from my background, I'm involved in public works and restoration, rehabilitation of structures. So how do you actually go about effectively managing the inspection, the repairs, restorations of aging infrastructure, in particular when you're dealing with modifications and time constraints, costs, and also some safety concerns?
Yeah, this is a big part of our industry and one thing that I'm very intimately involved with. And safety is always number one. We want to make sure that everyone has their training, their proper OSHA certifications, and that we keep all of our staff with the proper equipment and tools to effectively but safely do their job.
Right.
When it comes to, assessing these different things, time and cost are always a huge factor, especially, if it's some emergency job on an old building. We need to come up with something innovative and quick, but also cost effective. And that's a trifecta. That's always, that's the problem that we're all out here to achieve and solve.
Exactly. Right.
So what we've done and continually develop are some of these tools. We have a bespoke software division, and I've talked on some of the other podcasts that you guys have hosted about this, where, we actually have software developers go out with our teams and see how they're doing in assessing these jobs. And then they're coming back and we're building tools that then we can take out with us that help us automate some of that process. And it builds in speed and quality without sacrificing the full robust requirements of what it really takes to achieve the goal. And as we're doing that, and it's a constant shift, every time we go out to a new job, we uncover something new, and we uncover something different over here, or something here that completely might change moving forward that we want to incorporate. And that's when we kind of have a company-wide like lunch and learn or meeting talking about those things. But then we take all of that stuff and we build it back into the tool. So the next time that you're going out there, that is now part of the standard, so that when you see that thing, you kind of have a methodology of how to handle that. And I know I'm talking kind of big picture, but a lot of these software tools, we're trying to do it so you can implement it on a phone or an iPad, something that's connected, and you have a team member back in the office that has the expertise that while we have teams in the field, they're receiving this information in real time and receiving reports and receiving photos and receiving some of the criteria that needs to be used to make a decision. And they're able to hop on that while the teams are still on site. So it reduces the amount of site visits you need. It reduces the time from, assessing a condition to making a decision. And it generates a lot of reports and things that owners need and documentation of the conditions pretty much in real time, so that they have the information in all the decision makers' hands, from owner to, architect, the contractor, ASAP. Driving down that process really helps with the cost, really helps with the decision-making process, and it's a continually evolving process as we go out to more and more conditions, and you're always going to open up and find something new.
That's awesome. So is this the software that you guys are developing here, is it just something that's going to be in-house, or something that you guys plan on packaging and licensing this out to other architecture and engineering firms later on?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we have been harnessing it in-house, but we have been creating versions of this software that we can license to, other engineering firms and firms like ourselves. So we have licensed it to a few of the engineering firms that we collaborate with on a regular basis, even firms that are technically competitors. But in our vision, there's so much work out there, and we want to elevate that bar that, competition, I think that, high tide rises all boats. We want to be able to give them these innovations and these tools, and likewise, hopefully we can learn and leverage what they're building as well to help the industry as a whole. And especially with some of these, the aging infrastructure, there's so much of it that we all kind of need to band together to help each other out with getting it done as quickly and effectively as possible, and obviously safely as the key, that's paramount. So yeah, we've been sharing our technology and the things we develop, because we want to not just, see PVE in our firm as a success, but we want to kind of help drive the success in the industry as a whole.
That's awesome. That's good to hear.
So, Jameson, what lessons have you learned from managing diverse teams that could really help for project managers in the AEC industry to overcome communication and coordination challenges?
Well, this one is actually go back to basics. We have the age of Zoom and Teams and email and text and, all of these various tools of collaboration. My advice, get everyone in the same room. It's as simple as that. Internally, I lead the buildings and structures team here. And I have multiple teams across the country. Once a year, we get everybody in the same room. And, it's a little bit dicey in the beginning. I won't lie. Everyone has some opinions. We have an agenda of various things that we've identified as problems or, areas that we would like to improve. And it's not pointing fingers at anyone, but everyone has their opinion of how we got here and what we need to do. Getting everyone in the same room is key because we actually have a really great conversation. And it does get heated, but it's because everyone's passionate. And when you're actually together and you share that humanity, and a lot of the times we go out, for food, maybe some drinks afterwards, it promotes that camaraderie because everyone's really heated and passionate because they care. And when you get a group of people together physically in the same location that care, some really amazing things happen. And we've seen some great success in everyone pulling together to achieve those results.
No, that's amazing that you say that. And I love that you used the word passionate in there. It's not often that you would actually see a leader is stating that the riffraff that happens, the arguments or the abrasion or the roughness that happens when everybody is brought together in a room is actually seen as passion. So I love your stance there. I love that you have a heart for the people and understanding where they are. And I also agree with you 100% on getting everybody into the room is absolutely important, because a lot of times people in general or team members they just don't know what they don't know. And if they're not involved in having the conversations with the upper level management, there are different takes that can happen. There are different mindsets that can become fostered where they might feel as if they're just a person that's there just to do a job, that their higher ups or other team members don't actually care for them. So I love what you guys are doing there by keeping everybody involved, because it really, like you just said, it fosters a community and camaraderie where everybody can really work together and feel like they're adding into the bigger purpose and seeing what the real big picture is there. Because I think a lot of times, often, some of your staff members may not actually understand the bigger picture. They just think that they're there to fulfill a job, and they're not understanding what is actually happening there and why their job is actually important and why they have to do what they do.
Yes, and you're hitting on the key there is transparency. A lot of the times when we identify these issues to discuss, people feel defensive coming in, and they feel, that wasn't me, that was them, that was this, that was that. And I try to lead it off by being transparent to say, look, we're displaying all these issues because we're a room full of problem solvers. I don't care where the problems came from. In fact, I usually lead off with, hey, these problems, they're ones I created. Oops, help me solve them. And when you kind of disarm like that, it doesn't matter where the problems came from, but we're a group of problem solvers together in a room with one goal. And as long as we all have that one goal, and again, that passion to accomplish that goal, amazing things happen when you let the blame game, go by the wayside and just come together with, moving forward, because that's really all that matters.
Exactly. The end result is really all that matters at the end of the day. Right. So what final piece of advice would you like to give to any AEC project managers out there that are really striving to lead successful projects and build long-term client relationships?
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit, but regardless of all the technology and things out here, don't lose the humanity aspect of it. We've got a lot of great tools. We got a lot of great things that make the process more efficient or higher quality, or, kind of drive some of these, the speed and efficiencies, but don't lose the humanity aspect of the job. Be genuine. Clients work with, ultimately, who they like. So you need to develop a relationship. It's not just all about, the email getting ding, 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 whatever, and, the reports and getting it fast and this, that, and everything.
Yeah.
That's not a relationship. You can get that anywhere. You can go on the internet and do whatever. They want someone that's accountable, that they can call up, that they really truly feel is in their corner. Their project is your project. Their success is your success, and you're there trying to build it with them. And with that, they want someone they can trust that's doing it, but also doing it reasonably. We're all in this for business. We all want to make a profit, but don't gouge. 1 million singles is better than 1 home run. And, you want to build that reputation. You want to build that accountability. You want to admit when you make mistakes. And in the long run, that's what develops a really long-standing and successful relationship. So keep the humanity. That's what I say.
All right, guys. Well, I agree with that 100% with what Jameson had said here. Now, we're going to take a short break, and when we get back, we're going to get into our PM Pitfall segment. Stay tuned. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Engineering Project Management Podcast. Today we have Jameson Morse here, and we want to ask him what his PM pitfall is. So, Jameson, what is the biggest PM pitfall that you've identified in your career, and how would you recommend overcoming it or avoiding it for any PMs out there that are watching this video right now?
Sure. Well, I know a lot of project managers out there, if you're like myself, are pretty ambitious. So, one of the pitfalls you might see is when you identify problems, just ignoring them and hoping them fix themselves. I doubt a lot of you are like that. But on the opposite side of that spectrum, it's trying to do everything all at once. You can very quickly burn yourself out, but you have to find that there's a happy medium. Whenever you're identifying problems or just kind of your project management strategy and philosophy, keep in mind that it's a lot more like turning a cruise ship than it is flipping a light switch. It's slow and it's small incremental changes. I think there's a Japanese philosophy, Toyota very popularized, called the Kaizen philosophy. And it's just small little incremental changes, but every single day, and empowering all your team members to come forth with what those changes might be, and then allowing them to implement it into the process. Don't get discouraged at the speed of change as long as the trend is going in the right direction. And, there are some things that are more important than others and you need to prioritize and get them fixed. But I think a lot of times project managers, especially when they're new to the role, they see all these different things and they want to run in every direction at once. You got to be careful not to do that, because if you're running away in every direction at once, you're actually standing still. So that's one of the biggest pitfalls I can say to avoid is pick a direction, pick how you're going to get there, empower your team members to make those incremental changes, but don't get too discouraged if you don't get there immediately, as long as you're trending in the right direction. But make sure that you are trending towards a direction, because if it's not trending, then sooner or later the change is not going to happen and you're going to be on the outside looking in. So own those issues, celebrate them. We're all problem solvers, but then leverage your team to solve the problems and make sure that it's moving in the right direction, regardless if it's not moving as fast as you'd love to see it.
Wow, that was actually really good. I learned something myself there. That was excellent. So, I really appreciate having you on this podcast. Definitely enjoyed what you said there with the PM pitfall segment there about trending in a particular direction. I mean, I have also found myself doing that same exact thing earlier on in my career, trying to go every which way. And it's very true what you said, that when you're trying to do that, you end up staying still in one particular location. You're not actually making any traction. You're not making any movement. You're not trending at that point in time. So I think that that's going to be a very pertinent point that a lot of people that are watching this can actually take and learn something from it. So Jameson,
Great.
we really appreciate you being on here, and we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you having me.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
Please remember that you can find the show notes for this episode at aecpmpodcast.com. And there you're going to be finding a summary of all of the key points that we discussed in today's episode, as well as any of the resources that we mentioned in today's episode as well. Until next time, I wish you all the very, very best in all of your engineering project management endeavors. Take care.